If a cliché bothers you, then leave now. I guarantee there's a few in here. Many people have similar experiences. Hello, my dear listeners. Jason is here. Someone says I'm doing the best stories in the industry. Someone says I focus on quantity, not quality. But I'm just a simple man who wants to provide content consistently and entertain my favorite listeners. Let's keep it simple. Today's story is just a reminder that you need to stay strong and leave as soon as you have at least one small evidence of affair. So let's start our story. My name is Colin Sampson and I'm a professional engineer. After getting my master's, I continued my studies and passed the exam to become a professional engineer. After meeting all of the other criteria, I earned my license from the state. My specialty deals with water resources. It sounds impressive, but it's really water and sanitation projects. I get the water to you and then take sheet from you. I was the top of my class, and my logic and statistics professor became my guiding light. We were constantly butting heads, but I got the better of him on his favorite orientation problem. After that, he was my mentor and personal tutor. Anything I failed to comprehend was immediately cleared up with his expert advice. I graduated summa cum laude with both my bachelor's and graduate degrees. My bride of 4 years is Sabrina. We met at a print shop when she was an intern. The copy machine, where she worked, was broken and I was making copies of some blueprints. We ran into each other a few days in a row, and I was smitten with her beautiful legs and smile. Things moved rather rapidly, and before long we were having the exclusive dating conversation. My father left when I was young and my mom remarried a few years later. It wasn't until I was a teenager that I learned that my father's infidelity had disrupted my life. My stepfather wasn't really into being a father figure. I still harbor ill feelings towards my real father. He quit coming around soon after he moved out. My mindset has always been that, to him, I didn't matter. That's a tough thing to grow up with, feeling unwanted. I'm certainly a walking case study of someone scarred for life. I let my feelings about fidelity known. Sabrina had not experienced any trauma in her upbringing. Her parents and the grandparents on both sides were still alive and happily married. She admitted she couldn't relate to my upbringing. Regardless, she also professed that fidelity was an absolute for her too. Sabrina is very headstrong. It's not her way or the highway, but it's not too far from that. I think we are a good fit and that I will put her in her place if she thinks too much about herself and not enough about us. It might be a product of her being an only child. Always getting your way from an early age probably colors the world much differently than those of us who have siblings. Our sex life was strong from the start. Once we were exclusive, we were busy in the bedroom. We were both a little unsure of how to please each other. But, with Sabrina wanting things her way, I was guided through the process until I became pretty good at it. I learned from Sabrina that if you want something, then say so. Our wedding was a touch over the top. I felt sorry for Sabrina's mother by the time it happened. What's the word? Britizilla. Sometimes an only child can be a handful. One of our favorite pastimes is attending the musicals at the Performing Arts Theater. We have season tickets. Dinner before, with drinks and dancing afterwards, makes it a very romantic outing. We attend 8 musicals every year. I was never a jock but do enjoy watching college sports. Pro sports don't do much for me. The Olympics are a mixed bag. I avoid the judged events, tending to watch those that race against the clock. Sabrina has no interest at all in sports. Sabrina works for the law firm of Simpson & Haggerty. Simpson is actually Mrs. Nancy Simpson. She expects her female associates to be prim, proper, and morally outstanding. As such, Sabrina always tries to dress with that in mind and wears pantsuits. That doesn't bother me in the least bit, as the males would be drooling over her legs. Sabrina appears to be the chosen one amongst the new hires. She hopes that one day it will be Simpson, Sampson, and Haggerty. One of Sabrina's closest friends from high school is getting married. Sabrina agreed to be one of the bridesmaids. The bride is from a very wealthy family, and the ceremony will be held in Cancun. Each member of the wedding party has been provided with round-trip airline tickets for 2 and a week at a timeshare. Most of the wedding party is expected to arrive by Thursday. The rehearsal dinner is Friday night, and the wedding is late afternoon on Saturday. From what Sabrina has heard, most are going to stay the full 7 days. Sabrina has a very important trial on Monday, so we are only staying until Sunday morning. The trial is before a jury, but Sabrina believes their case is so strong that they'll get a directed verdict in their favor. At 4 a.m. on Thursday, we locked up and headed to the airport. Our early morning flight is to DFW. We change planes in the 90-minute gap before we leave for Cancun. Sabrina had brought along her folder for the court case on Monday. I didn't think those folders were supposed to leave the office. They're not. I have to make sure I've memorized all of the talking points and our responses. We spent a small fortune preparing for this case. Are you even going to be able to relax on this trip? Absolutely. I'll budget my time to allow me enough time to go over the trial material. I intend to let my hair down. After a lengthy wait for luggage, we arrived at the resort. After checking in, we made our way to the restaurant. This was an all-inclusive outing, and we started taking advantage of it immediately. While Sabrina was using the restroom, the manager introduced himself. He was simply greeting all of the new guests. Good day, sir. My name is Julio and I'm the manager. If you need anything, do not hesitate to ask. I was apprehensive about Sabrina bringing the trial folder, so I set out to ease my mind. Nice to meet you, Julio. I'm Colin. How's the room security here? The best in the city, sir. I have 30 security cameras and we keep recordings for 2 years. We have an impeccable record of protecting our customers. I can provide you with a list of every time your door was opened. If you have any concerns, we can view the security videos. Would you like to have a daily printout of the activity? That would be great. Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you, Julio. I think we're going to enjoy our stay. Sabrina and I found our room and were down to our birthday suits about as fast as possible. We had a quick one, after which I set an alarm and we took a short nap. Thursday night was a meet and greet with all of the bridal party. There were also several friends of the family who had arrived early. I knew practically no one there. I had met a few of the couples at our wedding, but we had never done anything socially with any of them. After dinner, the DJ started taking requests and the dancers hit the floor. Sabrina wore a knee-length skirt and a sleeveless blouse. Her sexy legs were on display. The dance floor was laid out with 3 dance areas. The DJ and bar were centered against the back wall. Off to the left was a dance floor. Off to the right was a dance floor. In front of the DJ was the largest of the 3 dance floors. From where we were seated, we couldn't see the dance floor to the left. There were people hanging over the railing on the second floor watching the dancers. Sabrina and I danced a few, which is about my limit. Dancing doesn't do much for me. After the first slow dance of the evening, we returned to our seats. We hadn't been sitting for a full song when a man approached and invited Sabrina to dance. Can I, honey? Only the fast ones. Okay. She danced a few numbers with the man and returned to get something to drink. A different man approached and asked Sabrina to dance. Without looking at me, she accepted. I was talking about Friday's golf outing with the guy who shared our table. When I looked around, I couldn't see Sabrina. I headed up to the second floor and spotted her in the left dance area. It was a fast number, and she was raising her skirt up and flashing her bum to her partner. She spun around and flashed her kitty to her partner. I had seen about as much as I cared to see, so I headed towards the stairs. The fast song stopped and the slow one started. I paused and watched. Sabrina pulled away from her partner, but when she didn't see me at our table, she headed back into the left dance area. They snuggled and swayed. His hand slid under her skirt and was groping her behind. I tracked Sabrina down and put her on the spot. What the duck does no slow dances mean to you? She pushed her partner back and stared wide-eyed at me. I forgot. I'm sorry. Forgot my bum. Speaking of bums, did you cop a nice feel there, buddy? As I turned to her dance partner. He said nothing, so I returned to Sabrina. If you're not back in the room 10 seconds after me, I'm shredding your trial folder. I turned and headed to the elevator. Sabrina sprinted back to her table and gathered her belongings. As the elevator door started closing, she shouted, "Hold it for me." I shouted back 10 seconds behind me where I shredded. Use the stairs. I let the elevator door close. As I was putting my card in the door, the stairwell door opened. A winded Sabrina continued running towards me. She caught the door before it latched. Did you have to make a scene? Me make a scene? I wasn't the one flashing my peach. I wasn't the one flashing my kitty. I pulled up her skirt and saw that she was wearing a thong. Since when did you become such a cheap tramp? I guess I had too much to drink. I'm sorry. BS. Get out of my sight. Sabrina closed the bedroom door. I slept on the couch. We really didn't speak much on Friday morning. After getting dressed, we went to the main floor and ate breakfast. Less than an hour later, we were back in the room. I'm going with the golfing group. What are you doing? I'm going with the shopping group. Will you be back by 4? We have to help set things up. I will. See you later. Maybe we can have a little fun before the rehearsal. Sounds good, babe. I got down to the lobby around 8:25 a.m. We had 3 tea times at the resort course. It was a 15-minute drive from the timeshare. 11 of us piled into the van sent by the golf course. 7 guys and 2 couples. The 2 couples teed off first as they had arranged the outing. Play was backed up on the par 3 14th. Our first group was just leaving the green, and our second group was waiting to tee off. We were going to have to wait at least 15 minutes before resuming play. Tom, the guy I was sharing a cart with, decided to call his wife. He asked her how shopping was going, along with all the usual husband and wife banter. After he hung up, I prompted him, "Are the ladies enjoying shopping?" "Oh yeah, Shelby can warm a credit card up pretty easily. It doesn't matter where we are, she can find something to buy." She said one of the ladies wasn't feeling well. She sent her packages back with her to have the front desk call them. Great, that means she can turn this into 2 shopping trips. That's hilarious. Her arms are empty now. Let's hope the exchange rate is favorable today. Yeah, no shit. She's not much for shopping budgets. I grabbed my phone and hit the button to dial Sabrina. It went to messages. We were waiting in the fairway on the 18th when my phone buzzed. It was Sabrina. "Hey babe, how's shopping?" "We're just getting back. I see you called." "Yeah, we were backed up on the course, so I thought I'd see how shopping was going." "I guess I didn't hear your call. You know how loud those malls can be. Our cab just dropped us off. Will you be back soon?" "I should be back in an hour or so. See you soon." As I was sitting on the van, headed back to the resort, my cell phone buzzed with a text. "Your daily room log is available at the front desk." I picked up the envelope at the front desk and joined a small herd boarding the elevator. I pulled the report out and glanced over it. At the first stop, I got off and walked down the stairs back to the lobby. After a short wait, Julio came to the counter. "Julio, we met yesterday, I'm Colin." "Yes sir, I remember you. Did you get your room activity report?" I held it up. It showed that my room door was open 3 times the night before. For today it showed 6:42, 7:29, 8:20, 8:45, 12:10, 12:12, 2:09, 2:10 and 2:10 again. "Julio, would it be possible to view your security videos for a few of these?" "Absolutely Colin, come with me and we can watch them." We had gone out to breakfast this morning, so that had to be the first 2. I left for golf just after 8, so that was that one. I would suspect the 8:45 one was Sabrina leaving to go shopping. Let's start with the 8:45 one. Confirmed, Sabrina wearing a blouse and slacks as she left. Can I see the footage for the one around noon? Certainly, sir. We saw Sabrina dropping packages off at the front desk. She was carrying another package as she entered our room at 12:10. She left without the package, 2 minutes later carrying just her room key. That's my wife. How about the 2 o'clock ones? My pleasure, sir. Sabrina was dressed in only a long men's t-shirt with some 10KRS logo on it. It came down to mid-calf. She was holding a small bag and carrying her shoes. Her sexy legs and bare feet were a beautiful sight. Hold on. Can we back it up and see where she came from? He loved playing with his security system. He went back about 5 minutes. He had 2 screens, and each showed 16 views at the same time. 2 from each floor plus many from around the lobby and exterior. We found that Sabrina had left room 305 before coming back to our room. The look on her face was hollow, almost emotionless. Can we go back to about noon and review the footage? A few minutes after noon, a tall man entered room 305. Just because of his height, I thought I recognized him as the husband of one of the other bridesmaids. At around 12:14, Sabrina pushed the door open on room 305 and let herself in. Are you okay, sir? Can I get you some water, coffee, or something stronger? No, but thank you for asking. One more view. Can we go and look at the 2 o'clock ones again? We watched Sabrina enter our room in the t-shirt. A minute later she came out, dressed in a robe, carrying a small sack. We watched her place the sack in the trash by the elevator, then return to our room. I'm sorry, sir. Would you like me to print out the stills of her entering and leaving the rooms? I slipped him a 20. Yes, I'll pick them up from you later this evening. Please don't disclose this meeting to anyone. You have my assurance, sir. I checked the bridal party list. Room 305 was Dennis and Mary Lou Denton. She was a bridesmaid. On my way to the room I did some dumpster diving and retrieved the sack that Sabrina had disposed. It was the t-shirt she had been wearing. I buried it in my windbreaker and entered our room. Hey hun, we've got time for a little fun before we head down for the rehearsal. Sabrina opened the robe displaying her treasures. As much as I'd like to, babe, my stomach won't let me. I'm going to sit in the shower and try to get some relief. Oh hun, that sucks. Let's hope you're better tonight. I had no intention of getting sloppy seconds. As I sat in the shower, it occurred to me that I might never tap her sweet kitty again. I couldn't think of an explanation that resulted in anything but a divorce. Apparently I was unable to keep my building rage from affecting my behavior. As we were setting up for the rehearsal, Sabrina made the comment, somebody's in a sour mood. Maybe I can make you feel better tonight. I doubt it. She wore a confused look, but let it drop. While the bridal party was busy acting out tomorrow's wedding, I mingled with the spouses trying to find out about the Dentons. The only thing I learned is that both of them had gone to high school with Sabrina. Most of the bridal party, and several of their spouses, had all attended that high school. The bride and groom were no different. It seemed like Sabrina and I were in the minority, having met after high school. The guy who I had caught Sabrina dancing with avoided me. Like me, his wife was in the bridal party. After dinner, the DJ started playing music. "Are you going to dance tonight, hun?" "No, neither of us are dancing tonight." "But I want to dance." "Sorry babe, I told you no slow dances last night, and you completely ignored me. No dancing tonight." Sabrina left our table in a huff. She mingled and I noticed she was avoiding Dennis. I really didn't see her doing anything inappropriate with anyone. She was constantly checking to see if I was watching her. After avoiding me for 2 hours, she made her way back to her table. "Some of us are going to the hot tub. Want to go?" "We're not going. We're done for the night. Get your stuff and let's go." "What the hell's wrong with you?" "I'm going to the hot tub." I said get your ducking stuff and let's go. She saw a look in my eyes she had never seen. It startled her. We were the center of attention. It got very quiet around our table. Sabrina picked up her purse and shrugged, then followed me towards the elevators. Once we were back in the room, she angrily asked, "What's your problem? What's gotten into you?" "It's not what's gotten into me, slut. I just wonder how many other times you've offered me sloppy seconds. If I were you, I'd lock myself in the bedroom or risk falling from the 5th floor balcony." "Oh God. Oh no. How did you?" "Let me explain." I opened the sliding glass door to the balcony and glanced back at Sabrina. "Shut the duck up." I stepped towards her, but she raced into the bedroom and slammed the door shut. From behind the door I heard her begging, "Colin, please, can we talk? You're going to act normal during the wedding, but we are through." "Don't say that. I love you." I slammed my palm on the bedroom door. "Shut up, slut. We are finished." Sabrina was sobbing. I left the room quietly, went down to the lobby, and picked up the envelope Julio had left for me. There was a self-serve copy machine in the business center, and I made 2 copies of each of the photos. I watched television until 2 a.m. The crying, coming from the bedroom, lasted until midnight. To say that things were tense on Saturday morning is being kind. Anytime she started to talk, I made it quite clear that she better shut up. I never let Sabrina out of my sight when we were out of our room. Around noon she started getting ready for the wedding. After a few minutes with the bridal party, many of the ladies were trying to cheer up Sabrina. As the bridal party was doing their prenuptials agenda, I stayed out of sight in the lounge. A few of the spouses had nonchalantly dropped by to see if everything was alright. I suspected Sabrina was behind it. I used my free time to change my return flight to the red-eye that left for DFW at midnight. Once the wedding was over and the reception reached the cake and dancing phase, Sabrina finally spoke. "Are we dancing this evening?" "Knock yourself out, but if I see the crap I witnessed Thursday night, your room key might not work." "That's okay. I only want to dance with you." We didn't dance. I could tell she really wanted to talk. There would be yelling and shouting involved, so I never let her. After the wedding ceremony, every time I retrieved a drink for Sabrina, I spiked it with a sleeping pill. She lasted until the bride and groom bid the crowd farewell. "I'm not feeling good. Can we go back to the room?" After Sabrina was asleep, I packed. I took her passport, driver's license, credit card, and the trial folder. I put a set of the pictures in her suitcase with a note I've already left for home. I made a package for Mary Lou Denton. It contained both the set of pictures and the shirt Sabrina had thrown away. The note with the package was, "Mary Lou, this is the shirt my soon-to-be ex-wife Sabrina wore when she left your room on Friday." The pictures showed Dennis and her together for about 2 hours. Colin. As I was waiting for my cab to the airport, I found the Dentons still partying. "Mary Lou, here's a package and note for you. Dennis, I wish you the most painful divorce the world has ever seen. You'll be looking over your shoulder for a very long time. Who knows when, but you haven't seen the last of me." There was fear in his eyes, but I didn't want to get tied up with the police. The cab driver was loading my bag when I saw resort security heading towards the reception room. As we pulled out, I saw a bloody Dennis being escorted by security. He was holding a towel to his forehead. I was exhausted, but back in my house by 7 a.m. Sabrina would be waking up soon. I had taken a few short naps on the flights both to and from DFW. I wasted no time in getting the coffee brewing. There wasn't much to eat in the fridge, so I started snacking on cookies and energy bars. My phone chimed that a text had arrived. "Where are you? We have to leave for the airport in an hour. Why didn't you wake me?" A smile crawled across my face. I was thinking it would be less than 10 minutes before she shit her panties. It was a good guess. My phone rang, but I let it go to messages. I played the voicemail. Colin, I'm sorry. We can get by this. You can have a hall pass. You can have 10 hall passes. Please talk to me. I sent a text. I'm already home. Your passport, driver's license, credit card, and trial folder are on the kitchen table. I'm not going to be here when you get home. I counted backwards from 20, but didn't reach 0 before my phone rang again. I let it go to messages again. The venom was dripping. You bastard. I'm stranded here. I have to be in court in the morning. I couldn't help myself, so I sent a text. Too bad. You weren't part of my plan. Can you relate to that? Oh wait. Of course you can. Friday at noon was your afternoon delight. Well planned. I scanned the set of the photos into my computer. I edited a few with annotations. Her husband's room, not her husband's room. I sent them to Sabrina with a BCC to everyone in the bridal party. I also sent them to Sabrina's parents. The message Sabrina left about an hour after her outburst almost had me feeling sorry for her. I said almost. She was sobbing so hard she was gasping for air as she spoke. I can't get help with my passport until tomorrow. Oh God, would she'll fire me. Please help me. Do something. I did something. I deleted the message. It was too pitiful to listen to. I sent a text back. If you want, I can deliver the trial folder and a set of pictures to Mrs. Simpson. The thought had crossed my mind that I shouldn't be in possession of that folder. I figured this would be my get out of jail card. Sabrina's text back was that of a broken woman. Yes, please get them to her. Thank you. I never meant to hurt you. Can we at least talk? The only thing I knew for sure was how to spell divorce. Until today I had never given much thought to the mechanics of a divorce. It concerned me that if Sabrina lost her job I'd have to pay alimony. I decided to withhold the pictures from Mrs. Simpson. After confirming her address, I drove over. Mrs. Simpson, sorry to bother you on a Sunday. Sabrina and I were in Mexico. I'm home, but Sabrina had problems with her passport. She asked that I get this to you. Have a nice day. A few hours later, another text. She suspended me without pay for a month. She didn't say a thing about the pictures. I responded quickly. Lost your husband, derailed your career, and lost the respect of your friends and family. All for a quick fuck. What a shame. When you said you were going to let your hair down, I had no idea. I guess you showed me. I held onto the pictures in case our divorce gets ugly. Please, Colin. No divorce. I don't want to lose you. When can we talk? Just texting with her was building my rage. It's sure easy to profess love after you've shat in your own bed. I'm turning my phone off. If you can be here in 15 minutes I will listen to what you have to say. True to my word, I turned my phone off. I had originally taken Monday off, so I put off packing and slept one more night in my own bed. At sunrise I listened to a few more voicemails from Sabrina. They were straight from the Cheater's Handbook. I decided to find a place to stay using the bed and breakfast route. I found one near work for about $3.50 per week including fees. There was an 18-day period available starting today. I drove over to see the place. It looked perfect, and the lady representing the property, Denise, was a little reserved, but encouraged me to book it. The house had a hot tub on the back porch, and it included parking in the garage attached to the house. I was back in less than an hour with what I would need for the upcoming stay. I found a storage facility and made a few more trips back home to take what I wanted. I made sure to destroy any photo containing my likeness. It takes a special kind of woman to rent your house to strangers. Denise and I chatted Monday night. She works out of her house and turns 50 in a couple of months. Her husband, Roger, died in a car crash a few years back. She has 2 daughters. One lives 1,000 miles away, is married, and has no children. The other daughter, Carrie, lives a few miles away. She is divorced and has a 3-year-old daughter. I awoke to the smell of bacon on Tuesday morning. It was a nice breakfast that Denise had prepared. Taking a long lunch, I met with the divorce attorney. He would file quickly and have Sabrina served on Thursday, as she's back in town. Probably straight from the Cluckleded Husband Handbook, I started doing the money shuffle. Sabrina made it home Tuesday afternoon. She was persistent in leaving voicemails and sending text messages. I listened to them and sent a text back. You wanted to talk. Can you meet for drinks Thursday night? Yes. Where are you staying? As far away from you as possible. That shut her up. The housing agreement was for breakfast, but Denise seemed pleased when I agreed to have dinner with her too. Whether she knew it or not, she had become my counselor. I didn't expect her to have any answers, but I needed to get my feelings out in the open to have any chance of moving on. Just having someone who listened and asked probing questions was very therapeutic. On Wednesday night we were joined by her neighbor Kathleen. Kathleen is a Bible thumper and about as opinionated as they get. I glanced at Denise occasionally, but she just shrugged her shoulders and smiled. After Kathleen left, that was certainly different. She's lonely. Her husband is working overseas. He's home 2 weeks, then gone for 10. I hope it wasn't too painful. Not at all. She's almost comical to listen to. She has some serious reality issues. Yes, she does. Thank you for enduring. Peach pie. Carrie made it. I'd love some. I learned more about Denise's family. Carrie had been through a nasty divorce. Celeste was the granddaughter and has Denise wrapped around her finger. Thursday night, my stomach was churning by the time I found the table Sabrina was sitting at. Hi Colin. How are you? I'm just peachy. You? Devastated. I was served earlier today. You couldn't wait until we talked. What's there to talk about? I don't want to know why you did what you did. For all I know, you've been doing it the whole time we were married. You think giving me hall passes will make it all better? Not a chance. I never wanted a slut for a wife, and I sure as hell am not interested in having a reformed slut for a wife. It became very clear in Cancun that you only care about you. Rules don't mean anything to you. Vows don't mean shit to you. What is it then that you would like to talk about? Colin, I wasn't sure I could say what I needed to say, so I wrote a letter to you. Even if we get a divorce, I promise you that I will do everything in my power to win your heart back. I took the letter from her trembling hand. Another man might have relented, but another man wasn't raised the way I was. I stuffed the letter in my pocket. If you have any issues with the terms of the divorce, I suggest you have your attorney contact mine. Colin, please, what will it take for us to get by this? A time machine. When you love or have loved someone, it turns you inside out when you see them suffering. I wasn't taking her back, but this was tough. Every please was met with me shaking my head no. Denise was waiting when I pulled in after 10. Want to talk? No. Wait, yes. I don't know. This hurts. First question you have to answer honestly is this. Are you better off with her or without her? Denise offered a hug, which I gladly accepted. Thank you. I'll sleep on that. My stomach was in knots. I went to bed but didn't fall asleep until well after midnight. Friday afternoon, I left the office early to catch my alma mater in the NCAA first round game. We were leading comfortably at halftime. I had been entertained by Celeste. She's a precocious 3-year-old and has a devious little sparkle in her eye. A woman in a stylish outfit came through the front door without knocking. She was pleasant to look at, and her physical attributes seemed pretty average. You look nice in that outfit. You must be Carrie. I am. You must be Colin. That I am. Your daughter is a little cutie and quite a flirt. She is very outgoing. Mom says you're staying 2 more weeks. Not quite 2 weeks. She has another booking. I've enjoyed this so much that I reserved 5 more weeks after her next guests. What are you watching? The basketball tournament. Have a seat, the second half is about to start. No thanks. I've never been a fan of watching men playing with their balls. I would rather go to a show or play. Would you like 2 tickets to the musical at the Performing Arts Theater? They're for tomorrow night at 7 p.m. You don't want them. Due to some recent developments, I don't have a date. If you can use them, great, else they'll go to waste. I found the folder with the printed tickets and handed them to Carrie. She studied them for a bit, then went looking for her mom. Thank you. That's very kind of you. You are more than welcome. A small thank you for how well your mom has been treating me. Carrie and Denise sat in the kitchen and talked quietly for the next hour. Carrie stood in the doorway. Colin, if you're not doing anything tomorrow night, would you like to go to a musical? It wouldn't be a date, just 2 strangers sitting next to each other enjoying the show. You didn't have to ask me twice. I knew just how to twist a knife into Sabrina. Only if that stranger looks like you. Do you know if that stranger would like to be fed before the show? I'll be here at 5. Mom's going to watch Celeste. Would it bother you if I supersize my meal? Not at all. If you don't own another nice outfit, you can just wear that one. It really does look spectacular on you. I'm not worried about me. I hope you clean up well. I now knew where Celeste got that devious little sparkle in her eye. Carrie gathered Celeste and we said our goodbyes. Having a conversation about something other than my job or my disaster of a personal life was refreshing. It wasn't advertised as a date, but I was certainly nervous on Saturday. My chance to get some digs in came around noon. I received a text from Sabrina. My calendar reminded me of our musical tonight. Are we still going? I'm taking someone else. Am I that easy to forget? That's amazing. That's exactly what I thought in Cancun. I'm sorry, Colin. Did you read my letter? Not yet. To tell the truth, I had forgotten about the letter. My initial reaction was that the lawyer in her had time to put a spin on the facts. I looked at the envelope but decided it was still too soon to torture myself. Carrie arrived around 4 o'clock. Denise, Carrie, and I sat around the kitchen table making small talk. Carrie was easily as nervous as I was. 5 o'clock approached and Carrie told Celeste, "Behave for Grandma. I love you." After Carrie got a big hug from Celeste, we were out the door. I went to the same restaurant Sabrina and I would have gone to. The conversation centered on work. Carrie was a structural engineer. She had yet to pass the professional engineer test. I'm jealous. I've taken the test twice and haven't passed it yet. Well, I dedicated myself to passing it. I was a full-time student until I passed it. I bet you were working. I was. It's apparent now that you really have to narrow your focus or you won't pass it. Did your divorce impact your attempts to pass the test? Definitely. It was a very bitter custody battle and it hasn't ended. I'm constantly worried that he will disappear with Celeste. He didn't want a divorce. He thought it was insignificant that he had sex with his hoe and that we should stay together and raise Celeste. I was having none of it. The courts do tend to favor the mother. Mom says your problems started a week ago. Well, not knowing what led up to her betrayal, let's just say that I found out I had a problem a week ago. Just being upfront with you. It took me 6 long months to get over the days of rage, hatred, self-pity, and depression. We may run into each other over the next 6 months, but I'm not going to put myself in harm's way until you've had time to work through all the emotional issues. Fair enough. As your invitation stated, this is simply 2 strangers choking down some food, and then sitting nervously next to each other at the theater. She giggled. I'm nervous. What's up with that? You're just being kind. You knew I would be nervous and didn't want me to feel alone. We changed the subject and enjoyed the meal. After the musical I offered to take her out for a drink, but she begged off. When we got back to Denise's house, Carrie offered, "Would you like an Irish coffee?" Sounds great. We spent another hour talking about engineering projects and the news. When she got up to leave, we both stood there not knowing how to end the evening. I had fun. Me too. Pretty lame, but it worked for both of us. I heard Denise's bedroom door close. I suspect she had been spying. On Sunday I bought a thank you card and addressed it to Carrie. I left it with Denise to give to Carrie when she dropped Celeste off on Monday. My alma mater made it to the Sweet 16. I changed my schedule to go in early so I could get back home before Carrie picked up Celeste. I'll admit it, I had a crush on her and Celeste. I can't say the next 2 weeks raced by, but work was hectic, and doing all the things my attorney wanted me to do kept me busy. I was having dinner with Denise 3 or 4 times per week. She is an interesting person. I had to vacate for a 3-day period, as Denise had rented this prior to my stay. Colin, I know you've booked 5 more weeks, but I have a proposal. I'd rent the room to you for $1,000 per month. If that's acceptable to you, I can cancel your upcoming 5-week stay. It won't impact your customer rating if I cancel it. Do you need time to think about it? Probably. I'd hate to do something foolish. Okay, I thought about it. I'd love to rent a room from you. Keep your key. I'll see you Monday. If there are things you'd rather not move, you can store them in the garage. I blew her a kiss. Thank you, Denise. I'll bring cash. Over the weekend I realized my next musical was the following Saturday. I printed the tickets and put them in an envelope addressed to Carrie. After moving back in on Monday, I left the tickets for Carrie when she drops off Celeste on Tuesday. Carrie, I still don't have someone to babysit me through this. Take your current squeeze and have fun. Colin. After unpacking, on Monday, I joined Denise for some coffee and peach pie a la mode. That pie was delicious. Thank you. Don't thank me. Carrie made it. Well, thank her for me then. She's having dinner here tomorrow night. Why don't you plan on thanking her yourself? It certainly seemed like Denise was my social coordinator and had arranged a non-date with Carrie. I can do that. Tuesday morning I heard from Sabrina. Mrs. Simpson has suggested I find another law firm to hang my shingle at. She found out we were getting a divorce, and I think she talked with someone from the wedding. I had already planned on something like this happening, so I will be starting on Monday at Adams and Maven. Good luck to you. Are we going to the musical on Saturday? I gave the tickets away. Have you read my letter? No. It was either Colin doesn't mean that much to me, so I'm going to do something premeditated, or Colin doesn't mean that much to me, so I'm going to do something spontaneous. Knowing which way you tried to spin it won't change the only constant. Colin doesn't mean that much to me. You mean everything to me. I wish I could find a way to let you know how sorry I really am. I was in no mood for dinner with Denise and Carrie, but I put on my best face. Denise had ambushed me. She had taken Celeste to a movie, so it was just Carrie. We made small talk through dinner, then moved into the living room and sat in the recliners. Colin, you seem distracted this evening. Things okay? I exchanged texts with her today. Just like you said, it takes time to deal with the rage that rears its head unexpectedly. Things took a positive turn about an hour ago. I'm fine now. Colin, would you accompany me to the musical on Saturday? It's my turn to buy dinner. Carrie, I would be honored. Flip-flops and torn jeans, okay? I'm going to let you make that call, and she flashed that same devious little twinkle. On Saturday I wore my best suit. We were much more comfortable with each other this time. Neither of us seemed nervous. When we finished our after-show drinks at Denise's house, we stood there unsure how to end the evening. That hadn't changed from the first time. Colin, come closer. I don't want my mom to hear this. I stepped closer and took the hand she offered me. I really enjoy your company, she whispered, then kissed me on the cheek. She tried to pull her hand back, but I raised it to my lips and kissed the back of her hand and spoke loudly. I really enjoy your company too. We both broke out laughing. I let her hand go, but she stepped back towards me, and we hugged gently. I had a great time. Me too. On Sunday I bought another thank you card and left it for Carrie. Kathleen was with Denise when I returned from work on a Friday afternoon. Kathleen blessed me a few times, but I was still uncommitted to attending her Sunday services. It's always a pleasure to see her walking away from the house. Dinner with Denise was not normal. She seemed on edge. Having had dinner with her more than a dozen times, it was pretty obvious. What's bothering you, Denise? Colin, I don't mean to pry, but my curiosity is getting the best of me. What are you doing about your urges, for sex? Well, Denise, if you must know, I've been leaving the front door unlocked, and Kathleen has been sneaking in and ravaging my body. That woman is insatiable. I'm surprised we haven't kept you awake with her screams of joy. Denise was laughing uncontrollably. You're terrible. God, that's hilarious. And she says she has her eyes on you. You've got the right stuff, and she says you'll be her little witch. I was grabbing my chest with one hand and licking the back of my other hand. Denise had tears running down her face. She laughed so hard she started coughing. Stop it. You're bad. The thought of her having those urges is too funny. Before I answer your question, who wants to know? Does it matter? Probably not, but I'm just as curious. Are you asking for yourself because you're starting to think you have what it takes to be a cougar? Perhaps the thought of having a completely normal-looking guy with a screwed-up private life has got your hormones running. Or maybe you're on a scouting mission for someone you hold near and dear. Then again, maybe Kathleen is too shy to set up a friends with benefits arrangement and ask you to plant the seed. Through the giggles, well, it isn't for Kathleen. Let me ask you then. Roger died a few years back. How are you handling your urges? That's different. We were in love and raised two beautiful daughters. The thought of having sex with anyone else is not appealing to me. Maybe that will change over time, but so far it hasn't. It's not all that different. I was in love and, as suddenly as a car crash, it was over. Unlike you though, I have conflicting emotions. I love her, but I hate her more than I love her. She has destroyed the trust it takes to be a couple. I will never take her back. Unfortunately, the thought of having sex with anyone else is not appealing to me. That will change over time, but so far it hasn't. Denise got up from her chair and came up behind me. She wrapped her arms around me and buried her head next to mine. After a few minutes of silence, she kissed me on the cheek. I guess that means you were checking me out for someone near and dear to you. She's afraid you'll find someone to satisfy your needs before she's found the courage to start a relationship. She doesn't want to miss her chance. She's still suffering from her divorce. I handed my phone to Denise. Punch her number. Handing my phone back, I listened to the ring. Hello. Carrie, this is Colin. If you're not doing anything tomorrow, would you allow me to take you and Celeste on a picnic? I'd enjoy your company as my date. If I thought you could find a competent babysitter on such short notice, we could continue it into the evening. Denise slapped the back of my head. Colin, I think I'd like that. What time? I'll drive over to Mom's house. How about noon? Noon works. See you tomorrow. Good night. Good night. Denise gave me another hug and kiss. Her cell phone starting playing Carrie's ringtone. I'll leave you two alone. Good night, Denise. Good night, Colin. Don't forget to leave the door open for Kathleen. Will do. Leave your door open for her too. She threw the book she'd been reading across the room at me. Stop it. Carrie and Celeste showed up at noon. Since I didn't have the proper car seat for Celeste, I loaded the picnic gear into Carrie's car and she drove. You can drive. I have no problem with you driving. The drugs have me pretty mellow. She tapped on the brakes and I reached for the dash. Your drugs don't seem to be working. We both giggled. I really enjoyed playing with Celeste on the playground. If I was being auditioned, I think I passed that test. A few times, Carrie and I gently kissed and hugged. That evening, with Celeste telling Grandma how much fun she'd had, Carrie and I went on a real date. We had dinner then went to a nightclub. Although several men asked her to dance, she declined all. We danced a few times, but that's just not my thing. We spend the time imagining how each of the couples on the dance floor met each other. Carrie has a vivid imagination. It was a fun way to pass the time. When it was over, I gathered Celeste and carried her to Carrie's car. When Celeste was in her car seat, Carrie turned towards me. Colin, I have a wonderful time today. Can I have a real hug and kiss this time? You didn't have to ask me twice. I was somewhat embarrassed as her kiss got me a stiffy quite quickly. She noticed. Down, boy. You best get inside and get ready for Kathleen. Now I was embarrassed. Obviously Denise had shared our conversations. Good point. I can't tell you how much I needed a day like today. See you Monday. Good night, Carrie. There was a sparkle in her eyes. I needed this too, Colin. Good night. I turned to see Denise watching from the living room window. She disappeared quickly. Kathleen was a no-show. I squirmed all night. The following Friday I joined Kathleen at the dinner table in Denise's house. With Kathleen facing away from the refrigerator, I filled my glass with ice. I was grabbing my chest with one hand and licking the back of my other hand. I mouthed, I can leave you two alone. Denise said loudly, Colin, please sit and join us. Kathleen was oblivious and embarked on her crusade to convert me. Like I may have said previously, it's always nice to see her walking away from the house. Pretty proud of yourself, mister, as Denise kissed me briefly on the lips and gave me a very long hug. She has a nice full rack, although you'd never know it by the baggy tops she wears. Thank you for everything. Carrie says you are taking her to a movie tomorrow. At the Megaplex. I'll let her choose. I hope Kathleen understands that you are dating again. Me too. Without connections, I might fry in hell. Sabrina was relentless in acting sweet and caring. I received daily texts and an occasional call. As much as I tried to convince her that the divorce was going to happen, she held out hope that I'd forgive her. I was noticing that getting her texts or phone calls were no longer causing angry responses. I think I'm getting over her. Denise had a small gathering for her 50th birthday party. It was a Sunday afternoon. I planted a few presents. I put Kathleen's name on one of the tags and mine on the others. I made sure Kathleen had departed before slipping that one into the mix. Carrie and I were sitting together on the couch when Denise started opening packages. She was thanking those in attendance each time she opened a present. When she opened my present, marked from Kathleen, she shrieked and bolted from the room, taking the box with her. After a minute in her bedroom, she returned. Colin, you're terrible. I'll get you. Carrie questioned the sheet-eating grin on my face. Tell me. Now. An inside joke. It's better that she tells you. I had bought a collar at the adult bookstore with the wording "My Witch." Denise returned, but her face was red. She had to deflect the curiosity of those in attendance. That made her red face linger much longer. Now her friends thought that she was a cougar and I was her cub. I loved it. The crowd dwindled to just Denise, Carrie, and myself. Carrie was ultra curious. Spill it, Mom. What was in the package? It's best you didn't know. No. Tell me. Well, okie dokie. The night you had me find out about Colin's sex life, he made fun of Kathleen. He implied that Kathleen wanted me as her sex slave. He bought a collar that says "My Witch" and labeled the box as being from Kathleen. Both ladies were giggling. Denise continued, Carrie, it was you that wanted to know. Well, two can play this game. What do you do with your urges? Carrie paled. Oh my. I just wanted to. Oh geez, this is tough. Mom, would you say that? Oh no, you can't back out now. Let's hear it. What do you do with your urges? You know what Colin does with his. Are you source? Are you too happy now? I moved closer to Carrie and pulled her close. I am. Toys are a lot easier to compete against than another man. Carrie pulled my head in and crushed her body against mine as she gave me a delightful kiss. Get a room, Denise chirped. After cleaning up from the party, Carrie and Celeste ready to leave. I escorted them to her car. After buckling Celeste in her car seat, Carrie turned and pulled me close for another kiss. Are you up for another movie next weekend? I'd love that. Our movie nights were dates. We held hands, snuggled, and acted like a couple. I found myself looking forward to our little outings. The divorce was scheduled to be heard on Thursday. On Tuesday I had to stay late at work, so it was 6 when I got home. I was greeted by both Carrie and Sabrina's cars. All I need to make this the perfect storm is to have Kathleen here too. Sabrina, this is a surprise. Carrie spoke. Hi honey, how was work today? Carrie came forward, wrapped her arms around my waist, and tilted her head upwards. I wrapped my arms around her, looked into her eyes, and kissed her. Pretty good, how was your day? Still working on the Evergreen project. Mom took Celeste for some ice cream. Sabrina and I have been making small talk. With a confused and pained look, Sabrina asked, can we talk privately? No need. You can say whatever you need to say in front of Carrie. She's gone through a divorce, so there's nothing she hasn't heard before. I leaned down and Carrie gave me a kiss, but this time she stuck her tongue in my mouth. I responded in kind and fondled the side of her boob. Colin, I don't want a divorce. There has to be some way that you could forgive me. What do I need to do? Sabrina, I've been adamant the last 3 months. We are not getting back together. But I want you. Carrie stepped into the fray. There are easily hundreds of women in this city who want someone like Colin. He could live happily ever after with any of them. He can't live happily ever after with you because he can't trust you. You say you love him, but how can you torture that man by having him doubt what you are really doing every time you two are together? For the next 50 years he'd always wonder, and that's no way to live a life. I will have nothing to do with my ex because of those same concerns. The sneer on Sabrina's face was accented with, you need someone to do your talking now. You will listen to me, but everything she says is true. I love you more than I can describe, but that wasn't enough for you. I will live my life with my stomach cramping, not knowing what you are doing. Sabrina made her way to the door. When she was standing on the front porch, I love you, Colin. I love you too, Sabrina. I hope things work out for you. One more thing. Here, take this. I never did read it. I handed Sabrina the unopened letter she had written to me. She killed our marriage and it would never matter what her explanation was. Well then, let me tell you what it says. I admit that I agreed to meet with Dennis for sex. We went at it hot and heavy in high school. When I got to his room I was overcome with guilt before we did anything. Dennis was upset and after a while became physically aggressive. He forced me to give him a BJ. When he jammed his clock into my throat too far, I started gagging and choking. I threw up all over my outfit. I went into the bathroom, knelt in front of the toilet, and threw up again. Dennis pulled my pants down and held my head down in the toilet. He raped me, then threw me a shirt to wear. Bravo. Bravo. I expected nothing less than an outlandish story. You've taken something you planned and made yourself the victim. I'm sorry for you if it's true, but you just as easily could have not shown her decline by phone. You didn't. You went and the rest, like us, is history. Colin, you have a right to doubt me, but it's true. And to put your mind at ease, that's the only time I disrespected you and our marriage. Sabrina, you are correct, I have to doubt everything about our time together. Sounds like you came oh so close to saving us all this grief, but you didn't. Time for you to leave. Sabrina just stood and stared. Carrie broke free and closed the front door. I think she's telling the truth. Maybe a better man could forgive her. I think you've treated her with respect. She caused her own problems. I know. How long did you say these conflicting emotions last? I'll let you know when mine go away. Now, did I say you could fondle my tits? I was play acting. Did I say you could French kiss me? I was play acting too. Don't start something you're not prepared to finish. I started walking towards Carrie. She put both hands up to stop me. I grabbed her wrists and raised her arms above her head. I marched her backwards into the door and our lips met. It was animal lust. No other way to describe it. I let go of her hands and pulled her close to me. Her hands started rubbing my clock through my pants. I slid my hands under her blouse and pushed her bra up and over. Hurry, Mom will be back soon. We made a quick move to my bedroom and locked the door. We shed our clothes in a few seconds. I stuck a finger into her hot wet kitty. She stroked my clock. We don't have much time. Just hug me. So I did. And finished onto Carrie's belly. You didn't have to do that. I started taking birth control pills again. Well, I didn't know, and it would have been a little rude of me to assume. I really enjoyed this, but you owe me another session where I get to come. Let's get dressed and we can work out the details while we wait for Denise to return. I suspect we didn't do a good job of looking innocent when Denise returned. She gave each of us an odd look. So tell me how the meeting with Sabrina went. Well, Mom, I pretended to be Colin's girlfriend. It shocked her a little bit. Carrie is quite an actress. You should have heard her speech. It really pissed Sabrina off. What did you say? I just stated the facts that many women would want Colin, but he couldn't trust her. Without trust there is no hope for a relationship. I have to get going. I'll see you in the morning, Mom. Colin and I are going to see a movie this weekend. Can you watch Celeste? Of course, sweetie. I walked Carrie to her car. We agreed that I would drive over a few hours from now, after Celeste was asleep. She told me to plan on staying a couple of hours. That got me mildly hard. Once inside, I made up my excuse to Denise. I have a project meeting tonight, so it'll be around midnight before I get back. You should probably lock the door to prevent Kathleen from sneaking in. If she doesn't find me, she might go looking for you. Giggling, you are bad. How are you feeling about Sabrina? I'm over her. Tonight was exactly what I needed to move forward. I'm happy for you, Colin. You know Carrie wasn't pretending as much as hoping. I fixed dinner earlier today. It'll take about 10 minutes to reheat everything. I arrived at Carrie's house just shy of 9 p.m. She was still wearing the same blouse and slacks. After the door was closed, it was a repeat of the animal lust from earlier. We slowed the pace down and it was exceptionally enjoyable. After stripping, we used our hands to get each other excited. I worked my way in between her legs and spent the next 30 minutes using my tongue to make her come repeatedly. Enough, I want you clocking me. I lasted much longer this time. After visiting the bathroom, she settled into my arms, and we kissed and touched each other for the next hour. When my clock was rigid again, I flipped Carrie over and we went for round 2. We both had to work in the morning, so I dressed. Colin, I won't try to guess how this will affect us, but I needed this. Carrie, I needed it too. You were just what the doctor ordered. I'll call you tomorrow to let you know I still care. You better. And I did. At lunch and then after dinner. On Thursday, I sent Carrie a text when I received word that the divorce had been granted. Want to come over tonight and celebrate? See you at 9. Later that same afternoon, I received a text from Sabrina. Can I buy you dinner and take you to a movie? Sabrina, you need to find someone else to love. For your sake, I hope you get some counseling to help combat your self-destructive behavior. I'll always love you, but I can't and won't live with you. Thanks for the offer, but no. Please move on. Later that evening, when Carrie opened the door, she was wearing a nightie that had me hard instantly. Her legs are pretty sexy too. Some women just know how to exude confidence when strolling around in bare feet without panties on. We made love that night. No promises, no expectations, just two people enjoying sex and each other's company. Carrie explained how her marriage had dissolved. Her husband, David, was an intern and apparently smitten with the lunch cart cutie. He had apparently forgot to tell her he was married. Carrie was waiting to have lunch with David when his host stuck her head in his office and cancelled their date. All hell broke loose. The home made it clear that they had ducked a few times. Colin, I have to warn you that I think David is mentally unstable. Once he finds out that we are dating, he may come after you. Carrie, you're worth it. That's the chance I'm willing to take. I made a mental note that Carrie can really give a remarkable BJ when you make her feel special. Carrie and I dated another 6 weeks before we had the exclusivity talk. It wasn't much of a talk. I was her one and only since her divorce. She was my one and only since I left Sabrina. She knew how I would react to infidelity. I explained my upbringing. I was still renting a room at Denise's as we weren't to the point of living together. Kathleen was still under the belief that I cared about her religion. At work, we landed a contract which called for me to make a few on-site inspections. This would turn out to be the first hurdle in my relationship with Carrie. Although I had no reason to doubt Carrie's commitment to a relationship, the first time I called her at night and her cell phone went to messages, I fell apart. I tried an hour later and it still went to messages. My insecurities overwhelmed me. I have some problems which I need to work out. She called around 10. Hi honey. I see you called a couple of times. I did. I must have forgot where you were going. Obviously you did. Remember me telling you that I was taking my professional engineer's exam today? I remember that. What time did it start? 6. I can tell by your questions that you were concerned when I didn't answer. Busted. How did the test go this time? Much better. My tutor knows his stuff. What time does your plane get in? Carrie met me at the airport. We had dinner and I learned that I wasn't the only one with some problems. Colin, we might be moving too fast. I trust you, but I found myself very anxious when you didn't call until later in the evenings. Carrie, don't feel all alone. When you didn't answer that night, I suffered too. We're a couple of strangers with shredded hearts. We're going to have bouts of insecurity. One missed phone call isn't enough to derail what I feel for you. I know we haven't said it yet, but I love you. Through her tears, I love you too, Colin. After dinner, Celeste is spending the night with Mom. Would you like to spend another night on the road? I was worthless at work the next day. We hadn't even had a fight, and the sex was as passionate as makeup sex. After several hours of pleasure we dozed off in each other's arms. I was sent on my way to work after another of Carrie's fellatio masterpieces. We took things slowly and the 6-month mark came. Carrie made a big deal of it. I felt in my heart that I was over Sabrina. Life makes sure that you never take anything for granted. A few months later I received a wedding invitation to Sabrina's upcoming wedding. It was a Thursday night and Carrie usually stayed for dinner at Denise's house. Colin, you are not yourself this evening. I can't put a finger on it, but you aren't acting right. Carrie, you know me pretty well. I handed Carrie the invite. She read it and passed it to Denise. Ouch. Well, you've come face to face with the reality that you've been replaced. It's what she experienced when she found us acting as a couple the night she came over here. I guess so. It just flushed up some feelings I didn't think I had anymore. Turn it over and read the back. Denise read it and passed it back to Carrie. Colin, I intend to be the most faithful, loving wife the world has ever known, Sabrina. Well, she will be second place to me. Whoever lands me will have the most faithful, loving wife the world has ever known. Oh, and by the way, we're not going to her wedding. Got any offers pending? No, but I'm getting a little impatient. I have my eye on someone. He's in his early 30s but still lives at home with my mom. He's got some unresolved mommy issues, does he? Perhaps with enough of your therapy he can live a normal life. Wait right here. Denise and Carrie were giggling. I found Celeste watching television and asked her to join us in the kitchen. Celeste, I was thinking of asking your mom to spend more time with me. What do you think of that? Mommy smiles when she sees you. I glance at Carrie and she shrugged her shoulders. Nana smiles when she sees you too. She waits at the window and says Colin's home. I glanced at Denise and she shrugged her shoulders. Carrie stared at Denise and her smile had faded. Would we stay here more, Colin? Well, no, I was thinking I would be spending more time where you live. Wouldn't that make Nana sad? Denise joined in, honey, I'll still see you as much as always. I know Colin and your mommy will make sure I'm not sad. Colin, will you read me bedtime stories? Anytime you want, sweetie. Mommy, you're smiling again. I think you like Colin. I do, sweetie. Fishing around in my pocket I pulled out a box. I wasn't sure you'd even be interested in getting married again. Dropping to one knee I presented the ring box. Carrie, will you marry me? Carrie pushed me over and landed on top of me. Yes. After our short display of affection Denise chirped, get a room. Celeste jumped on the pile. After some peach pie that Carrie made, we called it an evening. Denise watched Celeste that night, and Carrie and I spent several hours licking, sucking, and poking things. Friday afternoon Carrie and I packed my belongings and loaded both cars. I'm going to miss you, Denise. Thanks for letting me out of my lease. I'm really going to miss your peach pie. Carrie slapped the back of my head, keep being stupid, and you might not get any more. After hugs and kisses we drove over to Carrie's house, and I settled into my new surroundings. I read 2 books to Celeste at bedtime. Epilogue. We both turned down opportunities to attend parties alone. We don't want the other worrying. That's how things work when you try to love again. As much as I wanted to send Sabrina an announcement, Carrie prevailed and I rose above the pettiness. I shot down any mention of taking our honeymoon in Mexico. Celeste was adorable as the flower girl. Carrie was beautiful and glowing in her wedding gown. Her ex-husband, David, is actually pleasant to be around when he's taking Celeste for his weekend with her. I guess when Carrie and I got married it saved him some money. Denise started renting her room again after I moved out. I still tease her about being a cougar in training. She still flirts much more aggressively than you'd expect from a mother-in-law. Kathleen still shares dinner with us on Friday nights at Denise's house. It's still a pleasure to see her walking away from the house. Celeste and I are best buddies. I read her bedtime stories and she shows me how doll houses work. Carrie and I waited 2 years before expanding our family. Celeste has a baby brother now. Oh my god, I'm so happy to hear this happy ending. Actually, this happy ending reminds me a bit of my own story. Okay, just a little bit, I'll tell you briefly. I didn't meet my girlfriend on Tinder, in a club, or in a bar. I'll be straight. You can only meet chicks there who aren't very picky about men. I met her in an electronics store. Yes, in an electronics store. It's so silly, I know. But you should understand how this woman completely bowled me over. I was buying myself a new PlayStation 5. Yes, I'm old, but I play video games, I have every right. And there she was in the console department. She was looking at the rack with Nintendo games, eyebrow raised. For those who don't know, it's a portable console, a cool thing. I approached to ask what she was looking so intently at. And I heard. I don't understand why fools spend so much money on Zelda when you could buy it cheaper online. I was a bit surprised because I know that game and didn't think that such a beautiful woman, about 28, would sit and play Zelda in the evenings. We started talking. She works online, earns pretty well, but is so disappointed in friends, men, and the world with these whores. Now she works a lot, plays games, builds a business, and reads books in the evenings. She's from Ukraine. In short, as you might have guessed, at this point I realized I had found gold, domestic gold, that needs to be loved and protected. That's the story. On this positive note, we say goodbye to you. See you. Happy New Year, friends.